Hello everyone, my name is Stuart. I like to be called Brother Stu.
Hey, Brother Stu.
Because along the way, I picked that up, but it helps introduce people to know I'm Christian, or hope they know. By saying Brother Stu, it kind of opens the door for me to share about myself. But first and foremost, I definitely want to thank everyone for being here. I know there's some new faces, and I actually came to this class in 2002. And what happened is I started coming around, and Pastor David gave a speech on getting involved, and it was the only Saturday night Bible study there was. Like I said, I came at 6 o'clock then, and I'm still here. It didn't hurt that there's a young lady who I had my eye on that was also part of it. So it's been a real blessing, and definitely a blessing. Thank you, Larry, and his wife. Marty, they've just been awesome, and all the people that have a hand in this, I really appreciate it. Because I need to be here myself. I need the word. But, I just want to pray real quick. But Father God, we just thank you for this class, thank you for this church, and that we can come to you in freedom and come together as Christians, Lord. We just thank you again for what you've done on the cross and in this special season, both Easter and Passover. It's just a special time of year to remember you and to know what you did for us on the cross. It's your blood that was shed, the Lamb of God, to take away the sins of the Lord, of the world. We just thank you again, Lord, for all that you're doing in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. First of all, I want to tell you that Matthew 5:16 is my life verse. As Larry just mentioned, testimony is about boasting in the Lord. If we're allowed to boast, really about two things. One, about our weaknesses, which I definitely have, and second, about boasting in the Lord. So my life verse is Matthew 5:16, which talks about, in the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So anything I might share, it's not about me necessarily, but I give Him all the glory. That's got to get that out of the way, because it's really not about me. And also keep in mind, like a key verse, John 4:48. Jesus was talking to a Jewish fellow, and he was saying, unless you people, and the Jewish people, see signs and wonders, Jesus told him, you will never believe. So along the way, I believe I was saved out of left field, I call it. That, I never thought I'd believe in Jesus. It's just something that I never really considered. And furthest thing from my mind as a kid growing up in a nice Jewish home in Toledo, Ohio. But before that even, I was born in Pittsburgh, and my earliest remembrance were my parents fighting. And they divorced when I was like maybe 4 or 5, and we moved to Toledo. And my mom remarried, and I ended up with 2 other stepsisters, and altogether there were like 4 sisters, and I was the only male kid. So my 2 stepsisters had to run the household basically, and I was free to roam and do whatever I wanted to do, and virtually grew up without any responsibilities in the household. And I mention that because it's kind of important in my life. But I grew up, just had a great education, elementary school. I had great schooling, had a great high school that I went through, and just grew up without, like I said, very little responsibility. But I kind of knew something was off. I never really studied. I always waited the last minute for everything, and I just kind of coasted through life. But as a young teenager, just so happened I had a paper route. My best friend had the adjoining paper route. And so we were like model kids during the day, but at night we came out and terrorized the neighborhood. Having, smoke bombs and setting fires in the street with the leaves in the fall, and dragging garbage bags till they broke in the street, and just did all kinds of stuff. I snuck out the back door, and I was out in the middle of the night. Should have gotten in a lot of trouble, but never did. Just a little more about my irresponsibility and having no real father figure in the house. Also when I got towards my senior year, my stepdad, we ended up moving down to South Florida, which was a good thing. But it was in the middle of my senior year, and of course it threw everything off. I didn't have any friends down here, and I'd been exposed to a little pot when I was up north, but when I got down here, it was all smoking pot just to get through the pain.
Mary J.
The pain of moving in the middle of my senior year, you know, it's not that easy. But I come home at lunch, get stoned, go back to school. Like I definitely, you know, just was wasted through my senior year. And at the end, it was getting towards summer, and I hadn't applied for college yet. I was a pretty good student, you know. Hadn't applied for college yet, but at the last minute I applied to University of Miami. I didn't know anything about colleges down here. But I just said, okay, you know, I like the university, what it sounded like, good school or party school, whatever. And luckily I got a bunch of scholarships and was able to go to University of Miami.
Yeah.
So, otherwise I couldn't afford it.
My team, UM.
Yeah. So that fall I went to school, and of course I didn't really come from a family with money or anything, but all these rich kids coming there, and it was just a whole scene of partying and going to Crandon Park in Biscayne Bay. You know, at that time it was called Suntan U. Anyone remember that? Yeah, that was University of Miami. So it was all about getting high. You know, I got further involved with drugs. You know, not terribly, but just for me, it was exposed to a lot of things. Really smoking pot was about the worst thing I did until I got to college. But luckily I caught myself somewhere in that year and came out with decent grades. But that summer before, I had actually started working at American Express, and went to school that freshman year, came back and reapplied to American Express and got hired in the data center. And so I stopped going to University of Miami, just got involved with working at American Express, and by the age of 21, basically, in a couple of years, I was in the data center, and wearing a suit and tie, and I had actually created my own job. I was the PR guy for the computer center, okay, and thinking I was, you know, just having these big meetings every morning to schedule what was going to go on in the computer center. Had a, you know, corporate card, I could go out and eat. Big time, you know, I thought I was hot stuff. And I remember buying my first car at that time and thinking, you know, and it was just the outside things that I needed to make myself feel good. And the whole data center was getting high. I'd go out to lunch, have some Japanese sake, and come back totally wasted, okay? This is what I did. But you know, we somehow managed at this computer data center at American Express. And, but my yearning to be independent, and you know, a job could never hold me. I was always entrepreneurial growing up as a kid, and I ended up leaving that job at American Express thinking I was going to go for these riches out in the sales world and make it on my own. Little did I know, you know, that wasn't going to work. And at age 25, I was basically broken, and you know, feeling pretty broken. Just at a loss for what I was going to do. I was living back at home, and somehow I saw this bus bench on the way. It had Narcotics Anonymous on it, and the 24-hour hotline. And I ended up calling that hotline. And I'll never forget it. This guy Jacques, who I call Jack, answered the phone, and he invited me to my first meeting, and I went. And there's a great group of people. Most of them were like heroin addicts and really hardcore people, but you know, they accepted me anyway. There's a lot of good-looking girls that accepted me and they gave me a hug. So I said, okay, you know, this is somewhere I'll have to come back. And I made Narcotics Anonymous my home, basically, at age 25. And did everything they told me to do, basically, getting on my knees and praying. In AA and NA, they instruct you, you know, how to get on your knees and pray, ask God for help in the morning and take Him at night. So I was a good student. I did exactly what they said because I was so broken and willing to do that. But somehow these, as I was saying in my earlier verses, these signs and wonders started happening in my life. And I was praying, and just give you an example, it was coming to November and Thanksgiving time. I had a previous, I was busted for pot one day. I tried buying some weed and the cop was right behind me. And it was just a nickel bag, you know, just like very self-destructive. But, you know, they gave me probation and, you know, if I followed probation and did what I had to do, I would have not had the record. Approved trial intervention. So it was getting to Thanksgiving and I never reported. I never paid a dime to probation, you know, and I was like getting all kinds of anxiety over it. And I shared this with my sponsor and he said, well, you got to take care of it. And it was the day before Thanksgiving. I'll never forget this. And I called him up, I told him who I was. The gal said, wait a moment, let me look you up. She came back on the phone and says, well, we showed you was paid and completed your probation, have a great Thanksgiving. Wow. So again, you know, this praying stuff that, you know, I said, okay, God, whoever you are, you know, keep it up. You're doing good. And then there were just a lot of very similar circumstances. One was in NA, there was a meeting we used to have in Deerfield at the firehouse. And it was a huge meeting. And this guy would stand up and just shout out the name of Jesus, you know, and say, you know, Jesus is the answer, he's your higher power. And everyone tried to shush him down and didn't want to hear about it. Well, one day I ended up walking up talking to that guy. And I didn't know it at the time, but it turns out he was a Jewish believer. And he instructed me to go to this certain temple, a temple of Ron Kadesh in Lauderdale Lakes, and to find out it's okay to be Jewish and believe. So I did that, and I was, you know, everything was pretty cool. And they gave me this little black book that talked about the prophecies fulfilled from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And every night, just so happens, I had a polynidal cyst removed off my back end. It's a little cyst that opens up. Supposedly a lot of people have it. But, so I had to take a bath every night to keep it clean. And I'd take this black book into the bathtub with me, and I came out so like clean, spiritually clean. It was just an amazing feeling. So I said, well, you know, to me I still doubted God and this stuff. I said, well, to me this is Christian propaganda. That I had to find out that this stuff was true in my Jewish Bible that's given to me from my synagogue up north. And if it's true, then I gotta believe, right? So I went in the garage, I went through every box I could find, and I could not find this Bible. So a couple weeks later, again the same thing happened. I said, I gotta find this Bible. I went back in the garage, and there it was sitting right on top of the box. So I believe, you know, in seeking ye shall find. And he just wanted to make sure I was seeking him. And there that Bible was. And sure enough, all those verses were in there, pretty much verbatim in the Old Testament. So I was blown away. You know, this stuff was really real, apparently. And I was really getting into it because of all these things that were happening that I could not deny otherwise. And then it came around my 90 days. I love to tell this story with Larry because, again, it goes back to the University of Miami. Just so happens that year, 1983, they were like playing for the national championship with Howard Schnellenberger and going up against the great Nebraska Cornhuskers, the greatest football team ever, okay? And here's University of Miami, a little upstart school, and so the 90th day, like I wanted to get high, okay? It was like, I did my 90 days, now I can go get high. And so I prayed to God, I said, okay, God, the Orange Bowl was about 10 days away. I said, if you let my Canes win, I'm going to stay clean, okay? Anything to, you know, keep me going, stay clean. I made this deal with God, whoever this God was. I really didn't know for a fact yet. Sure enough, the greatest college football game ever. Canes won last minute, you know. Canes won.
21-0.
No, it was like 31-30, I believe, something like that. And it's to this day one of the greatest college football games, and of course University of Miami was the national champs.
Amen.
So, you know, again, I said, okay, God, who are you? You know, this is too good. And I just went on this pursuit, whereas I was getting into Christian music. I probably said the Lord's Prayer the first time from a radio station called WMCU at the time. It's a Miami Christian radio station, and which is now, I believe, K-Love, 89.7. But I was going to like these concerts called Truth concerts, just a young type of people, college-age people that are the best out there. And by the way, Anthony Evans came out of Truth, just a little FYI. And that kind of grade of talent, okay? And these guys would travel all around the country, and whenever they came to Florida, I'd go there, you know, and I was really blessed. I didn't quite have a home church yet. I was just still feeling things out. But once they came here, on University in Riverside, when we used to have a church there, and that introduced me to Coral Baptist, which is now Church by the Glades. And later on, just to go a little quicker down my story here, I ended up getting clean, got my life back together, went getting a job at Florida Power and Light down in South Miami, and ended up moving down there. And this one day, my very first day of work, I'll never forget this one. It was like drizzling that morning. I turned the corner. There's a rainbow right over FPL. And again, I got out of the car and I just about wept, you know, laid down because I knew this God was working. You know, I get a little emotional, but I just knew something was working in my life, and I didn't want it to stop. But again, you know, no job could hold me. I had these entrepreneurial beliefs, and I did work there for 8 years. And in 1992, we had Hurricane Andrew. And I saw the devastation of Miami, and just knew that, you know, there had to be more to life than going to work every day and doing the 9-to-5 thing. And even though I had a good job, you know, as a single guy, your bills always, you know, your pay was always eaten up by your bills. So I had to do something else. I was always wanting the country club lifestyle that my roadhead in Pittsburgh kind of had all his life. And played tennis, you know, this was my dream, just to have that kind of country club life. So I couldn't work for a 9-to-5, I had to go out and do my thing. So in 92, I left that, and again, kind of fell on my face, but about 95, I met a gal, we got married, and she had a great job. We were doing a lot of networking, like for the city, working for the city of Hollywood. A lot of good things were happening, including working for Mobil Oil. I got a job where I just drove around checking gas station prices. And pay was good, okay?
Wow, that's easy.
And for 16 years I had this job, right?
Wow.
No one could believe it. And again, this was all God.
I need one like that.
This is all God that gave us this job online, you know, that we found it first, because there was only one per county, basically. So I would drive in the morning. You had to get up early and drive to about noontime. I mean, a lot of driving. Come home, kind of get relaxed, and then I had the whole evening to go to meetings, to go to church if I wanted to. You know, just, it was a real blessing, because I went to multiple churches, like 5 nights a week, and went to plenty of NA meetings, got to share my testimony. And just like that guy who stood up in the middle of the meeting way back in the fire station, I didn't quite go that far to just claim Jesus, but I was able to share my testimony, relating whatever the topic was to my belief, and you know, it was just a wonderful time in the Lord. Well, along the time, I got divorced in like 2001. In 2002, I ended up back in Tamarack. But down the street now was that church I used to come to where I'd come to for that one concert. And there's a big banner that said Contemporary Christian Music, and that's Church by the Glades, which is Coral Baptist. And I went there again, and 2 members from Truth were in that worship team, and I knew I was home. You know, just again, no coincidences, and Pastor David giving them a great message. So that's where I started 2002. And really my walk, serious walk, started when I started covering this class, you know. And along the way, on Wednesday night, we used to have, of course, Wednesday night services, but Church by the Glades stopped their services along the way on Wednesday night. So I ended up starting to attend Calvary. And so I go to both, and Calvary's been a real major blessing in my life. Started going on Wednesday night, but then I started going to Sunday prayer meetings at Calvary. And there I saw, you know, it was a wonderful time. They do a sermon first, and then worship and have these blaring, beautiful speakers and just a great time in the Lord. And I saw one day this guy named Jimmy, I didn't know him at the time, he came up and he was hugging the cross. And I said, man, I gotta meet that guy, because at the time I'd come to lay down and I was a little Pentecostal, and still am. But this guy was up there hugging the cross. I said, I gotta meet that guy. And sure enough, we met and he took me back to his friend who's a guy named Hallelujah Dave. And some of you have met him. He used to be in this class at one time, but Hallelujah Dave became my mentor. And everything out of this guy's mouth was like Jesus, you know, saying a verse, and then, so you had to like say a verse back. And he was the greatest thing that, you know, greatest example of Christian I had in my life. We were great friends. We did a lot of Bible study, and this has accelerated my, you know, growth in the Lord in the mid-2000s. He passed away in 2008. But what a blessing that was, and he got to come here. Quick story, you know, just to throw this out there. Pastor David, we used to have some prayer. People would come up for prayer, actually, Church by the Glades. But the only time I ever saw Pastor David come down from the pulpit was one time to pray with Dave. It was just such a beautiful thing because he was dying of cancer. And, you know, Dave was just loved by everybody. He, you know, just an amazing guy. And so I was just appreciative to have this guy as my mentor. But, so I basically just had this lifestyle until 2011 of working in the mornings and having freedom to go to church, multiple churches during the week, get involved with a ministry at Calvary called Choosing Joy, which I'm still a member of, and my friend Kristen here is thank you for coming. It's a wonderful support group for anyone emotionally, spiritually, physically, and psychologically impaired or maladies, because I grew up, you know, basically I feel depressed and ADD and, you know, a combination of both. I was looking for a ministry I could plug into at Calvary, and sure enough, that's where the Lord led, and it's just been an amazing ministry, and I still attend and still do that. It's been about six years now. So, you know, getting plugged in, there's another verse, you know, I think it's Matthew 16:25. It says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. And, you know, I just feel like I had to just throw myself into the church, basically, because I was still, like, wandering out there in the world, in my personal life, you know, seeing where God wanted me to be as far as work-related, and I was still always involved with some kind of sales and websites and things of that nature, and still am. But you know, God has just amazingly blessed me along the way to allow me to do a lot of ministry, quite honestly, and to get involved and be at Calvary on Sunday and be here on a Saturday night, and be at a temple on a Friday night or Saturday morning. You know, it's just a beautiful thing. I still go to Messianic services, which really is who I am. I'm a Messianic Jew who found his way into a Baptist church. I believe I was sent to the Baptist church to help save you guys. No, not to save. It's not about salvation, but just sharing the Messianic vision. And it's Jew and Gentile is one. You know, we're all one in Him. And the Old Testament and New Testament is one book, and it's all important. So, you know, it's not a matter of salvation. I just want to make that clear. But just to impart, you know, the Jewishness of Jesus. You know, it's just been a beautiful walk. And you know, to this day, just having, you know, the most important thing is having a relationship with Him. You know, that no matter, even though we stumble, even though we have still situations in the life, you know, people may come against you, or you know, difficulties in the world. You know, our relationship with Him, knowing the Word, getting into the Word, having that, knowing the verses that can pick you up and give you the hope. Our verses for choosing joy is 2 Corinthians 4:16-18. And I think I wrote it in here somewhere. But, you know, okay, it's therefore we do not lose heart, but through our outer man is decaying, yet our inner man is being renewed day by day. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory, far beyond all comparison. While we look not at the things which are seen, but the things which are unseen. For the things which are seen are temporal, the things which are not seen are eternal. So for me, it's while I have my internal problems, there are some people in Choosing Joy with very severe physical ailments. There's brain injury from anxiety, you name it. But it's just a temporary thing. We're just pilgrims passing through. This life is, I think in James we talked about last week that it's not a matter of whether we're going to have tribulation. It's what's going to be about. We're pretty well guaranteed some tribulation in this life. So it's a matter of choosing joy and overcoming, and that's what my life is all about now, is overcoming, whatever the world or people, throw my way. But it's just such a blessing, to know Him first, and to, because without Him, we're lost. And I know for me, I'm lost without Him. It says we're nothing without Him, and I like to say we're nada, we'll throw my Spanish in there, but definitely nothing without Him. And I just want to thank you guys for listening and sharing my testimony. I know there's some new people here. I welcome everyone to this really fantastic, it's the best Bible study. Certified the grades, Pastor Larry's done a remarkable job. And every week he comes, brings his heart, and gives us a great Bible lesson every week. So thank you for letting me share.